Ethan looked out the window of the small shuttle as it moved slowly through the thick clouds of the alien world. The planet was called Ariznine, a place full of strange plants and unknown dangers. Ethan was part of a human exploration team sent to study this world and learn if it could be a future home for humanity. He was young, curious, and always ready for adventure. His brown eyes shone with excitement and a little nervousness. Beside him sat Lyra, the alien woman who had joined the mission from the Lyrian Federation, the planet's powerful and wise rulers. She looked calm and confident, but her purple skin and long silver hair made her look very different from anyone Ethan had ever known. The two had met a few weeks ago, when their teams first landed on Ariznine. At first, Ethan was unsure about Lyra. Her customs, language, and ways were strange to him. But slowly, they began to talk and learn from each other. Lyra had a quiet strength and kindness that made Ethan feel safe in this strange world. Do you see that? Lyra pointed to a large tree with glowing blue leaves. Yes, Ethan replied. We have never seen anything like this on Earth. The life here is so different. Lyra smiled softly. Ariznine holds many secrets. It is not an easy place, but it teaches those who listen. They walked carefully through the thick forest, their boots making soft sounds on the mossy ground. The air smelled fresh and wet, with a hint of something sweet. Ethan carried a scanner that showed readings of plants, animals, and strange energy fields. Lyra used her knowledge of the planet to guide them through safe paths. Ethan, Lyra said suddenly, you seem different from other humans I have met. You do not rush. You listen. Ethan laughed. Maybe that's because I am still learning. Humans can be too fast sometimes. We want to find answers quickly. But here it feels like the planet asks for patience. Lyra nodded. Good. Patience brings wisdom. As the day passed, Ethan and Lyra shared stories about their lives. Ethan talked about Earth, his family, and dreams of exploring the stars. Lyra told him about Lyra's home city, with tall towers shining like crystals, and the great libraries where knowledge was kept for thousands of years. They found a quiet spot near a small river. The water was clear and cold. Ethan sat down and pulled out a small meal packet. Lyra watched curiously. Do you want to try? Ethan offered. Lyra smiled shyly. Yes, please. Ethan handed her some food. She took it slowly, trying the strange taste. Then she laughed, a soft sound like a song. Not bad, she said. Ethan smiled back. Your turn. What do you eat? Lyra reached into her bag and pulled out some small, glowing fruits. Ethan looked surprised, but took one. It tasted sweet and fresh, like nothing he had ever tried. Wow, this is amazing, Ethan said. They ate together, feeling closer with each bite. After a while, Ethan looked at Lyra with a playful smile. If I had to marry someone, it would be you. Lyra looked surprised. Then she smiled and said softly, deal. They both laughed, thinking it was just a joke between friends. But deep inside, Ethan felt something strange, a feeling he could not explain. Later that evening, the teams gathered at the base camp. A meeting was called to discuss their progress and next steps. Ethan and Lyra sat close, but the atmosphere was tense. Some humans worried about the dangers of Ariznine. Some Lyrians watched the humans with caution. The leader of the Lyrian delegation, a tall woman named Celine, spoke with calm authority. Ariznine is a world of challenges. We must be careful. Our alliance with humans depends on respect and trust. Ethan thought about his promise to Lyra. Could that small joke affect something bigger? He did not know. But he wanted to protect Lyra and their friendship. As night fell, Ethan looked up at the stars, shining bright above the alien world. He wondered what the future held for him and Lyra. The galaxy was vast and full of unknowns. But maybe, just maybe, two very different souls could find a way to walk together. After their lighthearted promise, Ethan and Lyra returned to Lyra's home planet, Lyraxia. The planet was beautiful and full of colors. Tall crystal towers reflected the light of its 3 suns. The cities were alive with music, and the streets were filled with many different alien species, but beneath the beauty, there was tension. The Lyrian people took promises seriously, especially those involving marriage. Ethan soon learned that what he said to Lyra was not just a joke to them. It was a serious agreement. When Ethan arrived, Lyra introduced him to her family. They were proud and noble, with deep purple skin like hers, and eyes that shone with wisdom. Ethan felt nervous, but polite. "Welcome, Ethan," Lyra's mother said with a warm smile. "We have heard much about you." Ethan bowed respectfully. "Thank you. I am honored to be here." But some members of the Lyrian Council were less welcoming. They looked at Ethan with suspicion. Many thought humans were wild and careless. They did not trust Ethan or his people. During a council meeting, Lyra's father spoke firmly. "Lyra has spoken of her promise to Ethan. This bond is not only personal, but political. It affects our alliance with humans." One council member, an older Lyrian named Varric, frowned. "Are we sure this promise is wise? Humans are unpredictable. What if they break our trust?" Lyra stood tall. "Ethan is different. He listens and respects our ways. This promise was made in good faith." Ethan tried to show respect by learning Lyrian customs. He studied their language, rituals, and history.
Lyra helped him every step.
She explained the meaning behind ceremonies and taught him how to behave in formal events. One day, Ethan joined Lyra in a traditional dance. It was a slow and graceful movement, symbolizing trust and unity. Ethan stumbled at first, but kept trying. Lyra smiled and held his hand steady. "You learn fast," she said softly. "Only because you teach well," Ethan replied. Outside the palace, rumors spread. Some aliens thought the promise was a trick. Others saw it as a chance for peace between species. Tensions grew as politics mixed with feelings. One evening, Ethan overheard a conversation between two council members. "If this bond succeeds," one said, "our fleets will unite. But if it fails, war could follow." Ethan's heart raced. He never wanted conflict. He wanted to find peace and friendship. He met with Lyra in a quiet garden filled with glowing flowers. "What if I can't live up to your people's expectations?" Ethan asked. Lyra looked at him with kind eyes. "We all carry fears, Ethan, but we also carry hope.
Ow!
Promise or not, we face the future together." As days passed, Ethan and Lyra grew closer. They shared dreams, fears, and hopes for their peoples. Their friendship changed into something deeper, respect and care. But the outside world was watching. Rival factions tried to create problems. False stories were told to break their bond. Strangers appeared in the city, watching them closely. One night, a message arrived. It warned Ethan to leave Lyraxia or face consequences. The threat was clear. Ethan showed the message to Lyra. She was calm, but serious. "This is why they fear change, but we must be strong." They decided to stand together, no matter what. Their promise was no longer just words. It was a choice to protect each other and their worlds. The next day, Council called a meeting. Lyra spoke with confidence. "Our future depends on unity. Ethan has shown respect and honor. Together, we can face any threat." After tense moments, the Council agreed to support their bond. The decision shocked many, but it also inspired hope. Ethan felt proud, but knew the path ahead was difficult. He looked at Lyra and said, "This promise is more than a joke now." "Is our path," Lyra smiled, "and I am glad we walk it together." As the sun set over Lyraxia, Ethan and Lyra prepared for the challenges to come. Their friendship had become a symbol not only of love, but of peace and trust between two very different worlds. After the council meeting, Ethan and Lyra knew that their promise was no longer just between them. It had become a symbol for two worlds trying to come together. But the challenge was bigger than they thought. The galaxy was watching and not. Everyone wanted peace. Ethan woke early in his new home on Lyraxia. The crystal walls of the guest chamber sparkled in the morning light from the three suns. He dressed carefully, thinking about the day ahead. Lyra had invited him to join a special training session with her people away to prepare him for the duties and challenges he might face. When Ethan arrived at the training grounds, he saw Lyra standing tall among her people. They were strong and skilled, moving with grace and power. Lyra smiled and motioned for Ethan to join. "We train not just the body," she explained, "but the mind and spirit. You must learn our ways to stand beside me." Ethan nodded, eager but nervous. The training was hard. Lyrians moved swiftly, their bodies used to the planet's gravity and atmosphere. Ethan struggled at first, stumbling and feeling tired quickly. But Lyra stayed close, encouraging him. "You have heart," she said. "That is more important than strength." As days turned into weeks, Ethan improved. He learned their fighting style, how to use their weapons, and how to think like a Lyrian warrior. But more than that, he learned patience and respect for the culture he was joining. Outside the training grounds, tensions grew in the galaxy. News came of a third alien faction, the Zorvons, who were dangerous and wanted to stop the human-Lyrian alliance. They saw Ethan and Lyra's bond as a threat to their power. One evening, during a meeting between leaders, a message arrived warning of a Zorvan attack near Lyraxia's borders. Lyrax's father spoke with urgency. "We must prepare our defenses. This attack could break our fragile peace." Ethan felt fear but also a sense of duty. He had promised to stand with Lyra, and now that promise was being tested. Lyra took Ethan's hand. "We face this together." The battle came quickly. Zorvan ships entered Lyraxia's space, attacking with powerful weapons. Lyrians and humans worked side by side to defend their world. Ethan found himself in the control room, helping to coordinate the defense with Lyra. "Ethan, focus on the east perimeter," Lyra instructed. "Zorvons will try to break through there." Ethan worked fast, sending orders and directing ships. He remembered his training and trusted Lyra's advice. The fight was fierce. Explosions lit the sky as ships clashed. On the ground, soldiers prepared for possible invasion. During a crucial moment, a Zorvan ship tried to sneak behind the lines. Ethan spotted it on the radar and warned Lyra. "I'll take care of it," Lyra said, moving swiftly to lead a team. Ethan watched as Lyra's team fought bravely. She moved with skill and courage, protecting her people and their allies. After hours of battle, the Zorvons retreated. The Lyraxia was safe, but the cost was clear. Many ships were damaged and soldiers were tired. In the quiet after the fight, Ethan and Lyra met in the city's square. People around them cheered their leaders. But Ethan felt the weight of what had happened. "This battle shows we are stronger together," Lyra said softly, "but it also shows the challenges ahead." Ethan nodded. "I want to help. Not just as a friend, but as someone who belongs here." Lyra smiled, hope shining in her eyes. "Then you must learn more. This is only the beginning." So over the next weeks, Ethan and Lyra worked to rebuild and strengthen their alliance. Ethan studied Lyrian history, politics, and strategy. Lyra taught him about her people's values and hopes. Their bond deepened, no longer a joke or simple promise. It was now a partnership built on trust, respect, and shared goals. But not everyone accepted this. Some traditionalists in Lyraxia, and some humans doubted their connection. Whispers of doubt and fear spread. One day, Ethan received a message warning him to leave Lyraxia. It said threats would follow if he stayed. He shared the message with Lyra. She was calm but firm. "We face danger because we represent change, but we cannot run." They decided to stand strong together, ready to face whatever came. Ethan realized that his journey was more than just about two people. It was about two worlds learning to trust, to grow, to build a future together. As the sun set over Lyraxia, Ethan looked at Lyra and said, "I'm ready for whatever comes next." Lyra took his hand, "And I will be by your side." After the Zorvan attack, the peace between humans and Lyrians was fragile, but hopeful. Ethan and Lyra's bond had become stronger, and they knew they had to face the challenges ahead as partners. But the galaxy was full of dangers, and the test of their loyalty was just beginning. One morning, a sudden alarm echoed through the Lyrian city. Sensors detected a new threat approaching, fast and unknown fleet of ships from a powerful alien group called the Orcs. They had a reputation for destruction and showed no mercy to anyone in their path. Lyra quickly gathered the city's leaders and military commanders. "This is not a small attack," she said seriously. "We must prepare for war." Ethan stood beside her, feeling the weight of responsibility. He was no longer just a visitor, he was part of this fight. "We must unite humans and Lyrians," Ethan said. "Only together can we defend our homes." Plans were made quickly. Ships were armed, soldiers trained, and defenses strengthened. Ethan and Lyra worked late into the night, coordinating strategies and boosting morale. The day of battle arrived. The Vorax fleet darkened the skies like a storm. Their ships were large and heavily armed. The city's defenders waited ready to protect everything they loved. As the battle began, Lyra led the front lines, flying her ship with skill and courage. Ethan managed the defense center, sending orders and supporting the fighters. The Vorax were fierce and powerful. Many ships were damaged, and the fighting was intense. But Ethan and Lyra's teamwork inspired the defenders. Their trust and cooperation became a symbol of hope during a critical moment. A Vorax warship targeted the city's energy core, the heart of Lyraxia's power. If it was destroyed, the city would fall. Lyra raced to defend it, her ship weaving through enemy fire. Ethan sent reinforcements to help, but the situation was dangerous. Lyra's ship was hit, and she struggled to keep control. Ethan's heart pounded as he watched her fight with strength and determination. Lyra managed to disable the warship's weapons and forced it to retreat. The energy core was safe. After hours of battle, the Vorax fleet finally began to withdraw. The city was damaged but still standing. In the quiet that followed, Ethan and Lyra met among the ruins. Soldiers and citizens gathered, cheering their leaders. "We did it together," Ethan said, smiling despite the exhaustion. Lyra nodded. "This victory shows what we can achieve when we stand united." But the battle left scars. Many lives were lost and the city faced rebuilding. Ethan and Lyra knew their work was not over. In the days after the battle, they met with leaders from both species to strengthen alliances and prepare for future threats. Ethan learned more about Lyrian traditions and history. He realized how deep their culture was and how much they valued honor, loyalty, and family. Lyra also learned about human resilience and creativity. She admired how Ethan and his people faced challenges with courage and hope. Their friendship grew into a deep partnership. They shared stories, dreams, and fears, finding comfort in each other. But challenges remained. Some leaders from both sides still doubted their bond. They saw Ethan as an outsider and feared change. One evening, Ethan received a secret message from an unknown source. It warned him to leave Lyraxia or face serious danger. He shared the message with Lyra, who remained calm but serious. "This shows the fear and anger our unity brings," Lyra said. "We must be careful but not afraid." They decided to stand firm. Their bond was stronger than threats. Ethan looked at Lyra and said, "We are not just fighting for ourselves but for our peoples. This partnership can change the galaxy." Lyra smiled softly, "And together we will face whatever comes." As the sun set, they stood side by side, ready to protect their home and each other. The future was uncertain, but with trust and courage, Ethan and Lyra knew they could overcome any challenge. After the great battle with the Vorax, Lyraxia was tired but alive. The city's people began to rebuild their homes and lives. Ethan and Lyra worked hard to heal the wounds left by war. Their bond had become a symbol of hope for many, but they knew more challenges awaited. One morning, Ethan woke early and walked to the garden where he often met Lyra. The soft light of the three suns warmed the colorful flowers around them. Lyra was already there, waiting with a gentle smile. "Good morning," Ethan said, sitting beside her. "Good morning," Lyra replied. "The city grows stronger every day, thanks to the people's courage." They talked about the future. Both knew their promise was no longer a joke. It was real, and it held great meaning. But some in their world still doubted their bond. "There are those who fear change," Lyra said quietly. "They do not understand what we are building." Ethan nodded. But fear will fade if we keep showing the truth, trust, and friendship. Lyra reached out and took Ethan's hand. Hey, we must lead by example. Together, they visited villages and towns, meeting people from different species. They listened to stories, shared meals, and helped where they could. Their kindness inspired many. One day they were invited to a gathering of young leaders from both humans and Lyrians. The youth council had formed to build a better future. Ethan spoke to the group. We come from different worlds, but our hopes are the same. Peace and friendship can grow if we work together, Lyra added. Our bond shows that trust can overcome fear. We must teach others to do the same. The youth council organized events to share cultures and traditions. Humans learned Lyrian arts and music, while Lyrians studied human history and stories. Friendships blossomed, but not all was easy. Old rivalries still stirred beneath the surface. Some leaders whispered doubts, questioning if Ethan and Lyra's bond could hold. One evening, Ethan and Lyra met with the council elders. The room was filled with tension. Your promise is a symbol, said Elder Varek, but symbols alone cannot change the galaxy. Lyra spoke calmly. Change is slow, but with patience and courage, it is possible. Ethan added, we face threats and doubts, but we stand together. That is our strength. The elders nodded, some still uncertain but willing to give hope a chance. As time passed, Ethan and Lyra prepared for a special ceremony, not just a marriage, but a union of two peoples. The day arrived. Thousands gathered in the Great Hall, a place filled with history and light. Leaders from many worlds watched with hope and curiosity. Lyra wore a simple dress of silver and blue. Ethan stood beside her in a uniform decorated with symbols of both their worlds. Lyra spoke first. This bond is a promise of unity, trust, and hope. We stand together not just as partners, but as friends and allies, Ethan continued. Now, worlds are different, but together we are stronger. We'll face the future side by side. The ceremony was filled with music and light, a celebration of new beginnings. Afterward, the city came alive with joy. Music, food, and laughter filled the streets. Ethan and Lyra danced, their smiles bright and full of promise. They knew the galaxy still held challenges. Dangers lurked in the stars. But they also knew their bond had become a beacon of light that others could follow. As the sun set, Ethan looked at Lyra and said softly, Thank you for saying deal. It changed everything. Lyra smiled, her eyes shining. And thank you for your promise. Together we made hope real. They stood hand in hand, ready to face whatever the future held, knowing their story was just beginning. The days after the last great battle were full of hope and change. Ethan and Lyra stood together as symbols of a new beginning for their worlds. Their promise, once a simple joke, had grown into a strong bond that united humans and Lyrians. The city of Lyraxia buzzed with activity. Buildings were being rebuilt, markets filled with goods from many planets, and children laughed as they played in the streets. Peace was not easy to hold, but it felt real now. Ethan and Lyra often met in the garden, where their friendship had first grown. Under the soft light of the three suns, they talked about their future and the future of their people. It is strange, Ethan said one evening, how a simple promise changed so much. Lyra smiled. Words have power, especially when they come from the heart. They had faced many dangers together. From political threats to fierce battles, they stood side by side. Their trust had grown deeper than anyone had expected. One day, a new challenge appeared. A group of young Lyrians and humans wanted to learn more about each other. They formed a council of youth, inspired by Ethan and Lyra's story. Ethan was asked to speak. He told the crowd, We may look different, but our hopes and dreams are the same. We must learn from each other and stand together, Lyra added. Our bond shows that peace is possible when we listen and respect. The future belongs to those who work together. The Youth Council began organizing events, cultural exchanges, and joint training. Friendships blossomed, and old fears started to fade. Meanwhile, Ethan and Lyra prepared for a special ceremony. It was not just about marriage, but a promise to lead their peoples with wisdom and courage. The day arrived. In front of thousands, including leaders from many planets, Ethan and Lyra stood together. Lyra spoke first. This bond is a new beginning. It is a symbol of hope, trust, and unity. Ethan continued, we do not just join as partners, but as friends and allies. Together, we will face the challenges ahead. The ceremony was simple but powerful. It was not about traditions alone, but about the future they wanted to build. After the ceremony, celebrations filled the city. Music, food, and laughter echoed through the streets. Ethan and Lyra danced together, their smiles shining brighter. Then the suns, their journey was far from over. The galaxy still held dangers and unknowns, but they knew that united they could face anything. As night fell, Ethan looked at Lyra and said, thank you for saying deal. It changed my life. Lyra laughed softly, and thank you for your promise. It gave us all hope. They stood together under the stars, ready to write the next chapter of their story, a story of courage, friendship, and the power of a simple promise.